y'all? Welcome to another video and another dive into the CD collection. I know all you people who love vinyl records love seeing me post all these CD videos, I'm sure. But, it's all music. We all love, all the formats are good, right? We don't discourage different formats, although I don't know why people are still buying cassettes in this day and age. But anyways, enough of that. Today, we're going to spotlight the CDs that I have in my collection by the band The Police. Have you ever heard of them? I'm sure you have. Sting, Andy Summers, Stuart Copeland, and one of these actually has their original guitar player before Andy Summers. We'll get to that later. Great band. Called it a day at like the peak of their career. Just as an awesome band. I really got into them probably like in the their later part of the 80s. Obviously we all knew them. Their songs were all over radio and video and all that stuff. But I don't think I owned any of their records for a while. I think like in the mid 80s or something like that, I started just buying all the cassettes originally. Well, here I am talking about cassettes. But I picked all them up, and just one by one had all of them and just became like a really, really big fan. Sting, out of all their solo careers, I think Sting obviously, certainly the most successful one, but his first like 2 or 3 solo records I liked, and then after that I just kind of lost complete interest. Every now and then I kind of give it another chance, like a later album, but this never pans out. But so we're not here to talk about Sting. We're here to talk about The Police, and starting with obviously their debut album, Outlandish de Amor. This came out in 78, and just like one of those like almost like perfect records. I mean, I think there's like, Be My Girl Sally is an odd tune. I don't mind it. I like the guitar in the Be My Girl part. Then Sally kind of goes into left field, but I like that. But I mean, this record beyond that is just a great collection of songs and just an awesome debut. It's just one of those like perfect debuts. There were a few of them in 78, the Cars, Van Halen, and The Police. Maybe there's another one that I'm missing. Maybe you all know of. Went and saw them live on their reunion tour in 2007. Saw it at Madison Square Garden. It was a good show. It was fun. It was nice to finally get to see them live. I almost went to see them when they did that Amnesty International tour, and I think that was 86 or 87. Almost went to see that show, but ended up not being able to. Actually, that was my dip into trying to become a scalper. I thought I was going to be able to buy a whole bunch of tickets and scalp them in school, but that didn't work out. Anyways, just a great record. I mean, I'm sure you're all familiar with this. Next to You, So Lonely, Roxanne, Whole of My Life, Peanuts, Can't Stand Losing You, Truth Hits Everybody. Yeah, just a great, great debut. They follow that up with Regatta de Blanc. And this is probably, out of all the Police records, this is kind of like maybe the one that people aren't as big a fan of, but it is a really good record. Message in a Bottle is on here. Walking on the Moon. Those were like the 2 big singles, but then you also have It's All Right for You, On Any Other Day, Bed's Too Big Without You, Bring on the Night, which is funny because I kind of like Sting would do that live, on his first solo tour, and he put out a live record. I kind of like his live version of that a little bit better than the studio version that these guys did. Does Everyone Stare? No Time This Time is really good. But another really good collection of songs. Then we get Zenyatta Mandata, and this is a really good record. I don't know. I mean, the debut is like hard to top, but I don't know if I were to pick like what's my favorite Police record. This would be pretty close. You have Don't Stand So Close to Me, Driven to Tears, When the World's Running Down, Canary in a Coal Mine, Voices Inside My Head, Bombs Away, the Do 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 Da 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 Da, Man in a Suitcase, which is kind of what my life has become. Shadows in the Rain. Yeah, this is just a really, really good record. Then you get Ghost in the Machine. Another, it sounded redundant, but another great, awesome collection of songs. I mean, a lot of bands were hitting it out of the park during this time, just like one album after another that was just insanely good. And I mean, the Police certainly were no exception. I mean, just this whole run of albums is just, I don't know. I mean, it's just, they were unstoppable, man. It's just like these albums were just coming out just like classic tunes on every one of them, just full of awesome songs, even album tracks. On this, Spirits of the Material World, Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic, Invisible Sun. You get Demolition Man, Too Much Information, Rehumanize Yourself, One World, Omega Man, and Secret Journey, which I love. But yeah, just an awesome record. I remember when I was a kid and this came out, I didn't buy it, but I remember, seeing the album in the record stores and stuff like that. I don't know if my brother owned this, but I know for the longest time I didn't realize that these little digital icons here were the Police. I thought they were like some kind of like maybe like Japanese writing or something like that, and I don't remember when it dawned on me like, oh, that's the Police, that's them, But I was dumb. What can I say? Then we get the big one. We get Synchronicity, and I don't know how many millions and millions of copies this record has sold. Who knows? Probably 15 or 20 million, right? I don't know. Just a massive record. I mean, this made them like the biggest band in the world at that time. Every Breath You Take, King of Pain, Wrapped Around Your Finger, Synchronicity 1 and 2. Walking in Your Footsteps, really good. Murder by Numbers, which is on the CD, and I think it was on the cassette as well, but it wasn't on the vinyl. That's a really good song. But yeah, and then you got some kind of odder tunes like Mother and Oh My God. Oh My God's not bad though. Mother's a little odd. It's another like kind of Andy Summers, kind of bizarre track, But yeah, I mean, I don't know what more you can say about this record. I don't know that I said that much, but I don't know I can say much more either. So after that record, the band kind of goes on hiatus for a little while. I mean, they toured, massive tour behind that record, and the album stretched across probably 2 years, and they didn't like break up. They didn't officially break up or anything like that, but it seemed like they were gonna. And then they reconvened to put out a greatest hits record in '86, and we get Every Breath You Take, the singles, and I remember I bought this originally on cassette, and who am I to tell people they shouldn't be buying cassettes here? Oh, I keep talking about cassettes. But I remember when this came out, I remember buying it the day it came out on cassette. And I remember a friend of mine, I had all the cassettes at that point, and I remember a friend of mine going like, why would you buy the greatest hits, the best of, if you already own all that stuff? And a valid point. I don't know. I mean, there was only one new track on here, which they did a re-recording of "Don't Stand So Close to Me," and released that as a single. And which I forgot to mention, Sting's solo debut had come out before this record, the year before this record, and his solo record had a little bit more of like a jazz vibe to it, a little more like mellow sound, kind of. And Don't Stand So Close to Me, the imagining or whatever you want to call it, on this sounds like something off of Sting's solo record. I'm sure he kind of had to convince the other guys to do that. And I know the original plan was to re-record all these songs, and they only did two. They did Don't Stand So Close to Me, and they did the Do 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 Da Da Da, which I think later they released on like a redone version of this, or reissued version of this. They finally put it on there, but it wasn't released originally. And that one's done the same way as this one, kind of mellow, slow. But anyways, they never got around to re-recording all these songs because Stuart Copeland was in a He's riding a horse, and I think he broke his collarbone or something like that, so he couldn't play drums. And I don't know. I think some people think that was what put like the nail in the coffin for the Police possibly getting back together. I don't know that. They were putting out a greatest hits record. I don't know if anything would have come after that. I don't know. Maybe they would have toured behind this, perhaps, and I don't know if maybe they thought they would get back together. But it really felt like Sting kind of had put the Police behind him. I don't know that had Stuart Copeland not had that accident, anything would have made any difference. But I mean, it's a good collection if you're not familiar with the Police and you want to just kind of dive in. This is certainly a good place to do it. All the hits are on here that you'd want. They've redone this packaging, like I mentioned. So, there's different versions out there. They released, which I always thought was a little weird. They've released versions of the Police greatest hits, like the Police and Sting. So it's like half the Police greatest hits, half Sting greatest hits, stuff like that. It's kind of weird, but kind of stick with the classic here. Then they release, I don't know what year this came out. This was in the 90s sometime, maybe 95 or something, I don't remember. But they put out a live record, 2-disc live record, one live concert from, I think, like 78 or 79, and then the other one was from the Synchronicity tour. And by this time in the 90s, I don't think there was like that much interest in this when it came out. I don't know how well it sold. I don't think it did anything special, but it seemed like years late, being released, but I got it and I liked it. I really thought it's a really good, it's an interesting package because you get like an early concert and then like, a concert from like their final tour, it's just kind of a good, just to see how the band has changed or whatever. I thought it was kind of an interesting idea as far as like a live release goes, to kind of do it in that fashion, but really pretty good record. So that was kind of it. Then years and years, like I said, and then in those intermediate years there, I don't know, that's a stupid word, but they repackaged the greatest hits multiple times. I think they re-released the albums in like DVD audio, blah, 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 blah. And then finally, the day comes, 2007, they are going to do a reunion tour, and it's just a massive tour. It just sells unbelievably, selling out everywhere it goes. Lasted, I don't know, maybe 2 years, something like that. And I, like I said, I saw it, and it was a great show. Didn't feel like they were going to reconvene or anything like that. I think it would have been interesting had they maybe, put like, even like maybe an EP, like, hey, let's record, 2 or 3 songs and just put them out there to promote the tour, or just have something else. I think that would have been interesting, or just interesting to see what those 3 guys would have come up with at that point in their lives and careers. But like I said, I just don't think Sting has any interest in that. I'm sure it was, a lot just to get him to tour with those guys again. But they did put out another greatest hits collection, a 2-disc set, just called The Police. And again, like, why would I buy this if I already have all this stuff? However, this pops open, the 2 discs, whatever. So it seemed kind of foolish to buy this. I didn't buy it when it first came out. I got it a few years later, really cheap. I think I got this for like $2 or $3, and I don't, again, I don't know why. I'm not really like a Police completist or anything like that, but I just picked it up. It was so cheap. The only thing on here that is almost like the only reason to buy this was Fallout, which was a song that they did before Andy Summers joined the band. The original guitarist, I think his name was, there's a little poster in here, Henry, what was his name? Like Henry, starts with a P. Henry Padovani, I guess is the pronunciation. Maybe I'm butchering that. But so Fallout's on there, which I always liked Fallout. It was a really cool song, but that was on here, kind of the only reason to pick this up. But I did, and it was cheap, like I said, so I grabbed it. And that's pretty much it. That's my whole collection of Police CDs. They released a box set back in, I don't know if it was like the late 80s or early 90s, when everybody was putting out CD box sets. They put out something called Message in a Box. It was 4 discs, I believe, 3 or 4 discs, and had, or not, you know what, it was, yeah, because it had like, I think it had like everything they recorded, plus all the B-sides and unreleased tracks and stuff like that, on it as well. I don't know, it was 4, maybe 4 CDs, I don't remember. But I had that and had a lot of cool like little nuggets on there and everything. But I digitized all the songs, and then at some point I just sold that box set. I kind of, it's one of those ones I kind of wish maybe I'd held on to, but I didn't. But I did have that at one point. Yeah, so that's the Police collection. Let me know what you think of the Police. If you ever got to see them live back in the day or on their reunion tour, what you thought of them, what your favorite records are, blah, 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 blah. And thanks for watching. See you another time. Later.